everybody. See my new I got rid of the illusion. Oh no, my new room. I just set up the whole thing. It's a wonderful looking set of shelves. Couldn't figure out the name. Couldn't figure out the word. Oh boy. I am excited. I'm excited because we have 2 vaccines now. Also, I'm excited because I have a shirt here that I told Rambler that I was going to wear. This is the way. That's Mando's face there. I'm sorry. No. Go away. Okay. This is the way. Because this is the way. We're going to be talking about vaccines, man. Vaccines and vaccine myths. Oh, I've had a couple of conversations. With people, and then I just give a quick shout out to Prof. Melko, because on his stream on Thursday they were following along with the advisory panel to the FDA, and I was in that one, and people were asking questions, and it was so good. It was so good. I'm like, I want to continue this conversation. So that's what we're going to be doing. So we've got a couple of things. I wanted to first talk about the 2 vaccines that we have. The beginning of the end, as I called it. The beginning of the end. Hopefully, fingers crossed. And we'll see what happens. But I did also want to point out that there is a new stream command right here, Psych myth. And if you do that in chat, ! Psych myth, Nightbot will randomly come back with from a list of 300 and some. A myth with the associated fact of it smackdown. So we've got magnets like those embedded in shoe insoles can reduce pain. You may have also heard of like the copper stuff, sort of the similar property of that. The fact is, controlled studies have revealed that such magnets are useless for pain reduction. So that kind of thing. And I have a couple of vaccine myths in there, but we're going to spend some more time with the vaccine myth stuff today, because specifically talking about vaccines. So, yeah. Let me make sure I've got everything set up. All right. So, we've got 2 vaccines. They've got 2 vaccines. I am so happy. I am the biggest pro-vaxxer in the world. I don't think if I could like take a shot, if I could take a shot, like a needle, and just go around and stab people with needles with vaccine in them, I'd probably get in trouble. Yeah, okay. I'd probably get in trouble. But, and this is a big but, it would be useful. I would love to do that. Honestly, would love to do that. Because it's for the public good. It's for the public good. Public health, public good. We live in a society. Society needs to function, and as you see, and as you may have seen over the last several months, that society cannot function when we're all stuck at home. So let's not do that. I don't want to be stuck at home anymore. I want to be able to go to lots of places. Please. please. All right, so let's talk about these vaccines. All right. So the FDA has approved Moderna and the Pfizer BioNTech. So I want to talk about the Pfizer BioNTech one first. So here we have. Oh, and I also want to point out that. Oh, I'm getting cut off. Hold on. I don't want to be cut off like I am being cut off right now. No. Excuse you. Oh, it's because it's locked. Womp. Oh, there we go. Very good. Hey, Ramdas. Welcome in. There we go. Now we can lock that. Okay. So Pfizer was approved last Friday. Not this past Friday, but the one prior. I don't remember what date that was. Was that the 11th? I think that was the 11th. Oh, the other thing that I wanted to show. I keep forgetting this. So I got this new highlighter thing. Look at that. And then what I can do when I hit control is a baller. I can zoom in. Oh, so good. But I will make this bigger. All right. Here we go. And when it is this big, I can make it even... I'm sorry. Why is that up there? Oh, it doesn't... It doesn't work when it's maximized itself. Oh, well. That's too funny. It makes things bigger than 100%, I'll say. So we'll go through this in just a second. Ramdaski asked a question, aren't there some negative side effects to vaccines? Although I'm sure a small percentage, obviously the benefits outweigh the side effects, but do you think anti-vaxxers rely on these outlier situations, conspiracy theories? We will talk about that, sir. I do have a bunch of that stuff lined up. I want to talk about the vaccines themselves first, and then we'll definitely get into that part of the argument, that part of the discourse, the calculus of that, because it is an important part. It is an important part, but one of the things that we'll have to do is we'll have to try to tease apart and separate the fact from fiction part, like the fear-mongering part about side effects, and then the, like, you know, it's a tiny proportion of the overall drug trial. So we'll definitely talk about that. So here is the Pfizer BioNTech. This is the FDA Gov media, and you can download this at your leisure. And I'll do the Moderna one too. So efficacy of BNT162B2, that must be their vaccine candidate name, against confirmed COVID-19 from 7 days after dose 2 in participants with and without evidence of prior SARS-CoV-2 infection, evaluable efficacy population. So here we have the participants here. And all participants' vaccine efficacy, we have 94.6, 16 to 56, 95% efficacious, and these are confidence intervals. Not bad confidence intervals. They're, you know, 95% confidence intervals. So they're pretty good. I would take a vaccine that was 89.9% efficacious, effective. I would. That's big enough. That's big enough for me. It might not be big enough for other people, but it's big enough for me. For definitely. That is for sure. So 16 to 55, it goes down. So we have 95 and then a confidence interval of 88.7 to 98.2. Again, 88 is big enough for me. I would say 80 is big enough for me. But again, this is the probability that the vaccine does what it intends to do. It gives your cells a little bit of RNA, which is only half of a DNA sequence, right? It's one side, so it's got A, G, C, and T on it. But the other A, G, C, and T would have to be read on the other side. Okay, so if we've got A, G, C, and T, then we'd have to get the right lineup there. So that's what the mRNA is, messenger RNA. It's just one strand of one half of DNA. It's instructions to make a protein, and that protein is the spike protein on the shell of the SARS-CoV-2. It's the thing that makes it look like it has a crown, which is why it's called coronavirus, because it looks like it has a crown. I've never seen the whole crown thing, but apparently it does. Apparently it looks like a crown, which is why they got called coronavirus by people who name stuff, right? So we've got that spike protein on the outside of it, and this mRNA creates the same spike protein that gets sent into your bloodstream. Okay, your cells make it. It's like, what do I do with this? Okay, well, let's do stuff with it. And your immune system responds to this foreign spike protein because you're not supposed to have it. Your body doesn't make it itself. So when your body starts making it, your body's like, whoa, what is this? And so it'll start making, your body will start making more of this because there'll be replication. And so your immune system is like, slow your roll. It creates antibodies for this specific antigen because we don't the antigen is the lock, right? It's like the lock. Not going to do that. And we have a key in our antibodies, and that's how we fight off infections that we can fight off. We're not doing so good with fighting off the COVID infection, the disease that is born out of SARS-CoV-2 infection. So we're not doing so hot with that. But what we are doing is with this, giving the body instructions to make antibodies now. So if you do get SARS-CoV-2 infection, your body already knows what to do to fight it. It already has the instructions, already has the antibodies. And that's essentially what other vaccines do. The difference here is this is the first mRNA, or both Moderna and Pfizer BioNTech, both are the first of their kind, essentially. Previous vaccines, and right now, and this may change, but right now, the flu vaccine, which we get every year, or you should be getting every year, and this year is very important to get it now. Do it now. I will say that again plenty of times. Flu vaccine, and some of the myths that I'll talk about are kind of related to flu vaccines because we talk about it every year. We get them every year. It's the whole thing. It's the whole dog and pony show every year. So these are the first of their kinds, mRNA, as opposed to the flu vaccine, which is inactivated flu virus. So it's the whole thing. It's just dead. And so your body can respond to it directly, as opposed to giving your cells a set of instructions to then decode to create antibodies. This one, it can just be, okay, there's some flu in here. It shouldn't be here. Let's attack it. And then we make antibodies immediately from there. So there's this extra step in the mRNA vaccine process, from my understanding. It's a slightly extra step. So there we go. So that's, and then for 55 years and older, it's quite a bit less effective, but I don't know if this was ever brought up excuse me. I don't know if this was brought up during the discussions of the advisory panels both times, that it's less effective for older folks, because I would imagine it has something to do with immune response not being as proactive as it is in a younger person and or healthier person. I that would be my I want to say that would be my guess. That would be my guess. So this was approved. So the advisory panel voted on this last Thursday, the Pfizer one, and FDA approved it the following Friday. And then the same thing happened with the Moderna one. This is the Moderna briefing doc. 30,000, same as approximately same phase 3 amount of people, 30,000 vaccine group and placebo group, 15, give or take. And then let's find that one table. Here we go. Here it is, table 9, interim analysis for primary efficacy endpoint COVID. Oh, I should probably make this bigger. Yeah. There we go. Interim analysis for primary efficacy endpoint COVID-19 starting 14 days after the second dose. So they did, I think it looks like an extra week worth of tracking. But vaccine efficacy for all participants, 94.5. 86 and 97 is the confidence interval here, 95% confidence interval. They did not have any 16-year-olds in their study, so they were actually only approved for 18 and older. 93.4 for my age group, which is fine, right? Again, 83% is the lower bound of this confidence interval. That works for me. That works for me. Because 4 out of 5 times it's going to prevent a COVID infection, so that's fine. That works for me. It may not work for you, but it definitely works for me. But here's the cool thing about the Moderna vaccine. Every 65 and every 65 and older person in this study had a 90 or had a 100% efficacy rating. There was no variability. You can see 100%, no confidence interval because there was no variability. That's amazing. So, did I put this one in? No, I didn't. Here, let me do that. Bang, bang, boom. That's the Moderna one. Okay. So, if anything, Moderna should be given to the older people, older folks, right? Yeah. Feel free to ask your questions as we go through a ton of this stuff. We're gonna shift from the outcomes of the trials themselves, which are still ongoing. Now that they've gotten emergency use authorization, they need to sort of move into a halfway phase between 3 and 4. Phase 4 would be continuing clinical trials. And they're kind of technically still in phase 3, even though the process essentially needs to now move into post-authorization clinical trials. That's kind of phase 4. And tests thousands and thousands of people. The biggest sticking point here is that of the placebo group. You are actively preventing people from getting the vaccine to participate in this study, to be randomly assigned to vaccine group or placebo group. And it's just like, ooh, what do we do? What do we do with that? That's a pretty big ethical dilemma. The scientist in me is like, no, we need people to actively give up right now their ability to get the vaccine so they can be... Now, of course, they have no idea that that's what they're doing. They think they're getting the vaccine because it's a double-blind study. The experimenter and the participant have no idea that that's what they're doing. They think they're getting injected with something. For some of them, it could just be saline. You tell them what the side effects are going to be. They might have arm discomfort. They might feel malaise for a day or so, as is reported. Because the placebo effect does, work, but they're not getting any benefit from it because there's no mRNA in the placebo, salt water that's being injected into people's arms. And so that's the ethical dilemma. Again, the scientist in me is like, yeah, we got to do this for science. But then the human being in me is like, ooh, let's get this pen. I mean, we're talking about 15, 30, 45, upwards, hundreds of thousands of people who are actively being prevented from getting the vaccine because they just happen to be in the placebo group, and that's not how you end a pandemic, unfortunately, right? We need to know what's going to happen, and that's why we consistently and constantly and vigilantly need to continue with the mask wearing and the social distancing, because if we don't do those things, then it is game over. This will be the new normal, right? Remember, this is the way. Wear your masks. This is why I wore this shirt today. It's also an amazing shirt. It's so soft. Oh, good goodness. This is the way. Okay? Be like Mando. Don't ever take off your mask. Except when you want a baby hand to touch your face. Oh, sorry. Spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't seen the spoiler alert. All right. Let's talk about these vaccine beliefs, or the vaccine myths. Let's bust some myths. Actually, before we do that, let's not bust some myths. Let's laugh at some people who have a failure to reason effectively. So if you're on Facebook, there is a Facebook group called Things Anti-Vaxxers Say, right? And so this is the correct spelling of vaxxer here. If I can make it bigger. Can I make it bigger? No, it doesn't. Here. Something. Let me try turning it on again. Heart of gold. Huh. It's not working. That's a bummer. Okay. In any case, vaccines exposed. I love this one. It was just recently posted. And it says, "Hi, I joined this group because I was one of the trial participants in the Pfizer vaccine. I had a horrible experience and I wanted to share my story with you. Please let me know what questions you have and I'll gladly share. Please tell us what happened." So when I first got there was absolutely no place to park. Then I left my keys in the locked car. So I had to call AAA and wait for them to get there. And of course that took forever. Then I was waiting. Some guy walked by me and gave me a rude look like I was loitering or something. Then when AAA got there and found out the doors weren't even locked. So I was like an hour late for the study. And so I was last in line to get the vaccine. I got vaccinated though, so now I have a decreased chance of contracting COVID. So that's cool. But it was one of the worst experiences that I had. Troll level, amazing. Yeah. But this is the other stuff that people say. So these are real. These are unfortunately real. COVID vaccine is just free birth control and also free abortions. Okay. Just some questions that came to mind. While everyone was just looking at numbers, many thinking the viruses don't exist, many thinking that everyone is going to drop dead from it, some of us with greater interest in caring or our patients. When we become them, we're trying to understand the plethora of the annoying, foreign, odd, multi-system organ issue. You take a more balanced approach. I don't even know what this person is saying. I have no idea what this person is actually saying because it's gobbledygook. Okay? Saw NBC News last night, and it seemed like every doctor pushing vaccines and even the first nurse that took the vaccine all have foreign accents. Have we been infiltrated? Okay. You can see that anti-vax beliefs are mixed in with a lot of other beliefs. Polio is a reptilian virus, and the vaccines were created with animal cells. Okay, so 2 things. 1, it's totally possible that polio started out as a reptilian vaccine, but it became zoonotic. And so if it really did start with reptiles, which, I mean, I don't think so, but even if it did, because SARS-CoV-2 did potentially start off with the bat, and it was a bat strain, but it became zoonotic, which means it jumped from one species to the other, and unfortunately, the bat thing jumped from bats to us. And if polio is something like that, it was mutated within animal cells and then jumped to us. That's what zoonotic viruses are. That's how they work. They put cancer and HIV and herpes in the vaccines. Now, to be fair, cancer is not a microorganism. Cancer is malfunctioning DNA that causes your cells to rapidly reproduce in a way that is unhealthy for the tissue in which they live. Cancer has nothing to do with foreign bodies. Nothing to do with it. Cancer is 100% malfunctioning DNA that leads to gross reproduction and cellular replication at a scale that is unhealthy for the tissue, which is why the tissue then shuts down. So you can't you can't put cancer into something. You can't do it. You cannot put cancer into anything. It's not how it works. Okay, so all these diseases were created. And then there is no HIV vaccine. You could put HIV into something, but I doubt that people do that. That would be weird. And also wild. Herpes does have a No, there is not a herpes vaccine. There are kinds of herpes vaccines. So there's a herpes zoster, I believe, a herpes zoster vaccine, chickenpox. You can get a chickenpox vaccine. So yeah, they do put chickenpox into the vaccine, but it is dead. It is inactivated herpes zoster. That's how it works. That's how it works. All these diseases were created through vaccines and injected in us at birth. That's why so many people are sick. Polio was probably a hoax too to push vaccines. Yeah, F polio, but also F the people who took polio vaccines. Dummies. Okay, one more. She isn't dead. She's retired from being a shill. Oh yeah, that's the favorite. Everyone's a shill for Big Pharma. It is very insensitive of you when your whole community grieves. LOL, do you have proof outside of an FB post that she is even dead? If you did your due diligence, you'd check for a police report or a 911 call. Funny that neither of those exist because she isn't dead. She was a shill, so she wanted to retire. No one retires from activism, so faking a death was her way out. Okay. Later on, you are welcome to make a separate post with your intel and proof, but here and now is not the time. Oh, so you don't have anything except for an FB post. Legit. LOL. Not a legit obituary. Interesting. Drop it, please. Your further comments here will be deleted. Yeah, censor me because you have no proof. Wow. Okay, that wasn't a good one. Nice. All right, let's talk about these myths. Let's break them. Hey, Uncle Bill. Welcome in. Welcome in. Welcome in. All right. So always, first explore your source. Know where you're getting this information from. So I'm going to make this page a little bit bigger. There we go. For everyone to see. So I typed in Google COVID-19 vaccine myths, because that's what I wanted to do, is bust those myths. Apologies for all of the commentary prior, but we're moving straight into it, and then we'll talk about maybe some of the psych of all of this. So identify your source. When you search for something in Google or Bing or Yahoo or Alta Vista or Ask Jeeves, make sure your source is appropriate. Make sure your source is appropriate. So I've specifically chosen this search result. It's from the Mayo Clinic. Mayo Clinic is a reputable medical organization. I guess that's what we'll call it. And they have the details. They have the deets. If anything ever strikes you as interesting and potentially sensational, I think is the word that I wanted, on places like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Snapchat. If you find anything that seems sensational or like, or without a source, really without a source, then run away, run far away from whatever that person or people or post or account is saying, because if you type in Google right now, vaccine myths, you are going to get a litany of articles that say Instagram is being overrun with COVID misinformation, and especially vaccine misinformation. And vaccine misinformation is in high gear right now that we have 2 approved vaccines for it, and there are probably more on the way. Definitely the two. And so misinformation's in high gear right now, so you have to be vigilant on what you are actually reading and what you're responding to and what you're clicking on, because this obviously constantly updates the algorithm, your algorithm, on what these sites will then show you. Okay, so just be aware of what you're clicking on here. Okay. Oh yeah, TikTok is the worst. Yeah, I mean, I had it for a little bit because I was intrigued by the end of spring semester. This is how you cheat in an online test, and I was just like looking through them all. And then I got rid of it. I was just like, I don't need this anymore. I deleted it off of my phone. Okay, so we've got 2 vaccines. So let's go through this. These are some of the myths that are circulating right now. Okay. Myth: COVID-19 is vaccines are not safe because they were developed and tested quickly. That's fine to think about, but that completely discounts the work that has been put into these 2 vaccines. Yes, they were done very quickly. Yes, The operation from the US government was called Operation Warp Speed. But that does not mean that they are bad because they went quickly. We had to work fast because of the effects of the vaccine. We're losing a 9/11 a day. People are dying 9/11 a day right now. Hospitals are filling up fast. That's what you do in an emergency. You move quickly. That has nothing to do with the effectiveness of it. All of the protocols were followed. Otherwise, the FDA would have stepped in and been like, you cut corners in phase 1. You cut corners in phase 2. You cut corners in phase 3. We can't have that. Oh, that's a good question, Ramdas. I'll get to that question because it's part of this list. I believe it's part of this list. Okay. Now this article, I believe, is from before. Yeah, it's from before both were approved. So keep that in mind when reading as I go through this. So just because it went super fast does not mean they're bad. Okay. And the interesting thing about it is the mRNA work was happening a lot before the pandemic hit. Like, companies were working on mRNA tech way before these vaccines started getting tested. Way before, like SARS-CoV-2 was a big old thing. mRNA studies were being conducted. And so that's the good news, is that a lot of the work was done prior, and we just needed to get our hands onto the actual genetic information for this spike protein. Okay. So, I mean, we're talking about tens of thousands of people and almost 70,000 people across both studies who are now eligible. I think the placebo groups are eligible to receive the vaccine. I'm pretty sure. The second myth here is I already had COVID-19 and have recovered, so I don't need to get vaccinated for COVID-19. This is false because we actually don't know, to the extent that your body is able to make antibodies during the infection time, effective antibodies on its own, in the time that it's, that it is incubating and replicating, all that stuff. We have no idea that. And then there was some reports, I think it was in September and October, study was published where somebody who had COVID was reinfected. They got reinfected. So you could get it again. If you get it and then you don't get vaccinated, you could get it again. And then that's just like rolling the dice again for more severe complications. Those complications could compound and be cumulative. So the pulmonary, the respiratory, the cardiac, the neurological problems, you're adding on to that. So why risk it, right? All right, Ramdas, here is your side effects thing. And I have a rant associated with the side effects. Okay. So COVID-19 vaccines have severe side effects. So there were a few reports of severe allergic reactions. But those nurses who reported it when the Pfizer vaccine got distributed earlier last week, so just under a week ago, the reports were that some nurses who were allergic to some of the ingredients in vaccine distribution. So the fact that, you have to mix the stuff in a solution. They had EpiPens, and they were able to administer the EpiPens to shut down the anaphylaxis. So that was the first widely reported one, and they fully knew that they were allergic to those things, but they wanted to get the vaccine. From what I understand, they were willing and able to do it, and they had those EpiPens ready to go. So they just want to make and they wanted to make sure that people knew that if you're allergic to other vaccines that are injectable, that there might be cause for allergic concern, and that's fine. That's fine, right? You know what you're allergic to, and you know what could potentially harm you. So just be aware of that. Second sort of weird and random severe side effects is face paralysis called Bell's palsy. I think 5 people. I don't know if that was just Moderna or 5 people across both. I'm not entirely sure, but and if somebody knows in chat can do it. But about 5 people, 5 out of 15,000. We'll just say that it was Moderna. 5 out of 15,000. So what? 0.03%, something like that. Got Bell's palsy, which is temporary face paralysis. So like your face kind of droops because you can't keep everything set. It's hard to move your tongue. It's hard to move your mouth. Like, yeah, disconcerting. But luckily it is temporary. Depends on the person on how long it lasts. A day or 2 or something like that. I can't remember exactly. You can go look at Wikipedia about Bell's palsy. So that was severe side effect 2. Nobody's reported death. So that's good. Because remember, lest you forget the litany of drug commercials that you see on daytime television, directed at just any person, where they are by law required to list potential side effects. And, it just randomly, the guy's like, possible side effects include and death. That's because somebody died during clinical trials. At least one person died during clinical trials. That's not the case. That's not the case here. So, which is really good. We don't have anybody who has died from getting these vaccines. So, that's good. And I think that's the biggest one. But some other side effects that they were talking about here is side of the injection, because this is only for 16 years or older. Well, Pfizer's 16 and older, Moderna's 18 and older. It's going to go into your deltoid. Okay, nice meaty portion, gets injected straight into that muscle, goes into your bloodstream pretty quick. So people reported soreness at the injection site. You get your flu shot every year, you get soreness at the injection site. Other reported side effects are fatigue, malaise, fever. And that's only because your body now has a foreign piece of messenger RNA. And if your immune system is functioning properly, you shouldn't have that mRNA in your body. And so it's whipping up actions to take care of it. One of the ways that your body takes care of infections is by increasing your body temperature, fever. Because DNA starts to denature at about 100, what is it? About 39 degrees Fahrenheit, something like that. 39 or 40 degrees Fahrenheit. Not Fahrenheit, Celsius. About 100 degrees or just about 100 degrees, 105 degrees Fahrenheit, whatever that translates to in Celsius. That's when protein starts its denature. That's why you have to that's why you have to get fever reduction if you have a fever of over 104, because that's going to start breaking down your own body. So you get these malaise, fatigue, fever, all that stuff because there's now foreign stuff in your body. And so your immune system is ramping up. Be no different from getting a rhinovirus common cold or a norovirus stomach bug or something like that. Or some other bacterial infection. It wouldn't be different from that. Okay. So a day or two you feel like crap. Hey, I'm about to let you in on a little secret. If I had a day or two of feeling like crap and I didn't have to go to work or do work, sign me up. Okay. Yeah. I mean, take a couple of days of rest after you get it. That's all I'm saying. So far, no other. So yeah, allergic reactions, and that's because of the delivery ingredients, the solution that the vaccine is held in to keep the mRNA from denaturing, from degrading, and things like that, and to give it a nice, good vector into your body. Bell's palsy. But very, very, very small chance of Bell's palsy. So, I mean, I'll take it. That's a win, in my opinion. And then to your question, Ramdas, since it's related, if you're still watching, would it be possible that these vaccines have negative unintended side effects down the road since it's a new mRNA type vaccine that we haven't used before? This is a valuable question, and the answer that you should accept from every single scientist is that you're right. We don't know. We don't know what these long-term side effects are going to be from an mRNA vaccine. But the benefits outweigh those risks significantly. And we won't know for a long time what happens with that kind of thing. But let me tell you this. Once the cells that make the mRNA vaccine are taken care of by your immune system, the poor unfortunate souls that make the vaccine, the poor unfortunate cell souls that make the spike protein that are identified by your body as being foreign, and they're gobbled up by, macrophages or destroyed by natural killer cells. That's a small price to pay, and it may clear out the mRNA completely, but you have the memory still, you have the immune memory of those spike proteins, you have those antibodies, and maybe we'll have to get boosters. I actually think that it stands to reason that this isn't an mRNA vaccine may not give lifetime immunity. Like every 10 years, you got to go get your DTaP or your Tdap, whatever order it is, right? Your tetanus, diphtheria, and pertussis boosters. Every 10 years, you got to go get boosted. So you have, protection against 3 actually really crappy diseases, right? I don't know if you've ever had or known anybody who's had whooping cough, pertussis, but it sucks. As somebody who has neuromediated cough reflex, which essentially syncope, neuromediated cough syncope. Whenever I cough too much, I start to pass out. I start to have syncope. and it's bad. So I don't want whooping cough. I'm gonna get my boosters, and that might be the case for this particular one. So I know I haven't really answered the question of would it be possible that these vaccines have negative? Yes, it would be possible. But does that mean you shouldn't take it now? No. I still am 100% ready to get this. My body is ready. So let's do it. Let's get it done.
Let's get it done. Get your vaccines. Get them while they're hot. Wait your turn in line, obviously. You gotta wait your turn in line. But get this vaccine. That's what I'm saying. Get this vaccine.
Okay. Hope that worked. Because I'm not monitoring that at all. Okay. Oh, last thing before we move on to the next myth is, so somebody asked me this question, or they specifically asked me, am I getting the vaccine? And I said, yes, I am. And they said, well, I heard about this, that, and the other side effects. And I'm like, let's think about it this way. And this is probably going to sound like a false dichotomy, and perhaps it is. And so I'm laying that argument out there that this is perhaps a false dichotomy, and you could probably say, yo, Psych, you should not say that. And okay, that's fair. That's fair. But hear me out. We have two choices. We can take our chances with COVID. We can take our chances with COVID. You get it, you roll the dice. It's either no bad news bears, or it is bad news bears, right? You could be one of the bad statistics, or you can be one of the good statistics. There's a chance for either one of those if you get infected. Second option is to get the vaccine. You get the vaccine, you are protected as long as you do the 2 doses 21 days apart, 3 weeks. You get the vaccine, and you take whatever side effects come with that, but then you don't have to worry so much about the whole COVID thing, right? Sounds like we're rolling the dices for it all. I mean, that's what life is. Life is a bunch of randomness, and we're trying, as humans, to make patterns out of all of the randomness, and we've done a pretty decent job on some things. We've been able to predict stuff with relatively good success, but then there's still a whole butt ton of things in nature we have no idea about. And it's all just randomness. It's all just randomness. We roll the dice every day. You could die at any moment. Let's just say that you could die at any moment. That bit of lovely language is basically the only thing that is true in this world, is you could die at any moment. What happens after that? No clue. But what I do know is I could die at any moment. Sometimes you're closer to it than other times. Sometimes you feel like you're closer to it than other times, because you have anxiety, clinical anxiety. But, one of these is true. You could die at any moment. So we're always rolling the dice. I choose to give myself a fighting chance with those dice. Maybe load them slightly. Maybe we'll think about it that we're cheating at this whole life gambling thing. Nature's like, ooh, I got something good. I got something good for them. I've got something good for them. It's going to be this zoonotic bat virus that is a respiratory one. It's going to be good. Bat, you're going to help me out with this? Get him. Oh, yeah. SARS-CoV-2. Get him. Get him. Oh, they developed a vaccine. This damn technology. What the hell? No. Rude. How rude. All right. What else do we got here? I won't need to wear a mask after I get vaccinated. Well, the mask isn't for you. It's for other people. Just because you can't get infected with coronavirus doesn't mean you're not a vector. Like those bats. Okay? So keep wearing your masks even after you get vaccinated. Okay? Because these epidemiologists and virologists still don't know, if you can get reinfected once you get these vaccines. They don't think so, but it's still an open question. Keep washing your hands and stuff. More people will die as a result of a negative side effect to the COVID-19 vaccine than it would die from the virus. False. Absolutely false. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. First of all, I mentioned a little while ago that there is no evidence death being a side effect of this vaccine. So you can't have a conclusion that is not supported by any of the evidence. So we have here this evidence that says this vaccine here does the work of not letting you get COVID. So I see. Oh, okay. People are gonna die from it. I see. People are dying. Where the hell did you get that? COVID-19 vaccines were developed to control the population through microchip tracking or nanotransducers in the human brain. I would fucking love that. Sorry. It's weird. I would love that. Wouldn't that be cool? Wouldn't that be cool? We would be living in the science fiction. 5G. I want my brain to be able to access the internet. Why would I want to use this as an intermediary? Whatever, man. Sounds stupid. Anyways, I would love to have a direct line to Bill Gates. I have some suggestions, we'll say, about Windows. I have some suggestions about Windows. So, if he's going to track me, then shoot. You know who already tracks me? Google. Did they do it on purpose? No. I let them. So if I let Google do that through a Maps app, then I don't give an F about being microchipped. My dog's microchipped. Hey, let's say, for the sake of argument, that this myth was actually true. Okay, we're getting microchipped in vaccines. Let's say, for the sake of argument, that it's true. Okay. What would be the downside? Let's say you get into a terrible car accident and you hit your head. And you wake up and you're like, oh my God, I have retrograde amnesia. Who am I? Where do I live? What do I do? What do I do? You got the microchip. I'll be like, oh, your name is, I see here, Alexander Swan. You live here. Yeah, let's take you right to them. Ooh, who do I live with? Well, it says here that on this micro tracking sheet that when you got your COVID vaccine, it says here that you had a wife and kids at the same address. We could cross-reference this database. It's really cool. Oh, amazing. Okay, I hope I like these people. Right? That's the silver lining. You heard it here first. Silver lining for getting microchipped. Yeah, buddy. COVID-19 vaccines will alter your DNA. You know what alters your DNA? Radiation. Yeah, the mRNA is not gonna. It can't. mRNA is for creating proteins. That's it. That's all mRNA can do. As you can see here, messenger RNA vaccines work by instructing cells to make a protein that triggers an immune response. Boom! That's it. Nothing there says, hey, this mRNA is going to say, I want to turn this person into a goat. I'm sorry, what? I know, right? It's hilarious. It's so dumb. Oh my goodness. Jeez. Excuse me. So yeah, no. Radiation. Well, actually, pretty much. What's in change your DNA? Radiation, your own DNA, and teleporters. I was going to change your DNA. Yeah. Yeah. COVID-19 vaccines were developed using fetal tissue. So this is my favorite just anti-vax myth in general. It's a gross misunderstanding of the actual work that goes into making vaccines. So, because some vaccines have to be made using stem cells. And so they're like, oh, where'd you get the stem cells? Aborted fetuses? And it's like, no. You know, I mean, sometimes fetal cells are used as stem cells. But no, they're not harvested aborted fetuses. Stem cells, however, are very important for developing all sorts of medications, all sorts of drugs, all sorts of treatments, because stem cells have not differentiated yet. So your stem cells, when you are a fetus, can specialize into cardiac cells, can specialize into muscle cells. So stem cells are really important for understanding the building blocks of cellular generation and specialization, so you can take that information and create targeted treatments. So that's what that is. And no. So RNA and mRNA vaccines were not created with using fetal cell cultures. It's just the idea is, no, we do not need stem cells for an mRNA vaccine. That's the story there. COVID-10 vaccines cause infertility or miscarriage. So this was specifically mentioned to me, and I want to clear that one up because first of all, one, we don't have the information about that. Specifically with the Moderna and Pfizer trials, the phase 3 trials that led to the emergency use authorizations for these two the idea here is that when a woman in the trials became pregnant, they were pulled because they were unsure and uncertain about what would happen to those women when they knew that they had become pregnant in the trial. So they were removed from the trials due to pregnancy. So we don't have any information. So this is the kind of thing that really bothers me about the spread of misinformation, because it plays on some really underlying fears that women of childbearing age have, who have not yet had kids, who want to have kids. So they're being told or shown or fed information that says to them, hey, you should fear this new thing because it's got this side effect that's gonna harm you. And it's specifically gonna target this particular anxiety that you have. I think that's that's an extremely despicable thing. And I think some people are using it for that malicious intent to stop people from having it. And so it's like almost purely an online social media campaign with, just sharing people just sharing unfounded and unsourced stuff. And I think it's the most despicable thing because it's specifically playing on this fear that nobody else has. A 60-year-old woman's not going to have this fear about infertility or miscarriage. They're done. Men do not have to have this fear because they are not going to deal with female infertility or miscarriage, because it's specifically about female infertility. So the fact that all the a woman's eggs are already in their ovaries, as opposed to men who just burn through sperm like, I don't know, water in the sea. The sperm's not going to last very long, so even if the mRNA did affect those gametes, it's not going to matter because they're going to die, and then you'll just make new ones. So this is specific fears that a specific subset of the population has, and it is despicable that this kind of myth exists. And it has no bearing, as you can see with the Mayo Clinic here. These postings are not scientifically plausible, as COVID-19 infection has not been linked to infertility. So if an mRNA, if a strand of mRNA is, its instructions are, hey, make this protein, make this spike protein, then and that spike protein does not affect sperm or egg cells, then you can't just make the logical leap. You can't just go, wee, pulmonary or respiratory infection, wee, sexual reproductive organ infection. You can't do that. There's no scientific reason to believe that this will change after a vaccination of COVID-19. Well, there are no formal studies, and you can bet that that pregnant women will be brought into the fold. You can bet they will be brought into the fold, but they will be brought in as slowly as possible. So this, it doesn't snowball super quick. I'm allergic to eggs, so I shouldn't get the COVID-19 vaccine. Good news, everyone. There is no eggs in this one. Or in either of these two. COVID-19 vaccine must be stored at extremely low temperatures because of preservatives in the vaccine. No preservatives. They have to be, technically the Pfizer one only needs super cold storage, minus 80, minus 70, minus 80 degrees Celsius. Yeah, minus 70. Because the at higher temperatures, the mRNA will start breaking down. So you keep them as cold as possible to keep the molecules from getting too hot and breaking apart and reacting with things around them and that sort of thing. mRNA is fragile and can break down easily. So ultra cold for the particular mRNA strand. Moderna only needs to be kept at minus 20 degrees Celsius. Minus 4 Fahrenheit for all you Fahrenheit junkies, you know? Healthy children do not need to be immunized. Well, that's false, right? Oh, so anyways, yeah, I said that. Myth. I'm increasing my infant's chance of developing SIDS if I have him or her vaccinated. You know what actually increases the chances of SIDS? Sudden infant death syndrome is cigarette smoke. So, get the kid vaccinated and stop smoking cigarettes. Since most vaccines are not 100% effective, there's no really need to get them. Nothing in this world is 100% effective. I tell you what, as much as you would like to think that's the case, absolutely not. That is definitely not the case. Everybody's body's different. That's why. Everybody's body is different. Not even gravity is 100%, depending on how you look at it. But still. Myth. The side effects of vaccines are worse than the disease they're meant to prevent. Fundamental misunderstanding of what side effects are versus what the intended benefits are of vaccines. You'd rather get the disease then. Okay, all right. So let me give you some polio. And when you are fully infected with polio, I'm going to tell you that you have to stand forever. Do you like using your legs? I mean, if you like using your legs, then you might as well get the polio vaccine so you don't lose the ability to use your legs. And I don't mean that to be ableist at all, because yes, some people do have polio and some people do lose the ability to use their legs, among other neurological issues. And that's truly sad. But if you have the opportunity to get a polio vaccine before you contract polio, then I think you deserve you deserve a good smack in the head if you refuse to not. It's not safe to get more than one vaccine at a time. Kids get like cocktails all the time. They don't get, it's not cocktails, but you know what I mean. It's not like real cocktails, but yeah, they are they get multiple shots at a time. My kids all got multiple shots at a time. Alternative vaccine schedules are not a good idea if you're giving too many vaccines at once. Yeah, I mean, alternate vaccine schedules are not a good idea. Any pediatric virus specialist will tell you this. Paul Offit, for example, is not a fan of this. And Dr. Sears, garbage. 12 visits over 2 years? That's ridiculous. Some of the illnesses that are that vaccines prevent are not a big deal. People die of polio, measles, mumps, rubella, chickenpox, meningitis, HPV can cause cancer. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. If you think those aren't if you don't think those are terrible, then yeah, sure, you can believe this one. But you know, varicella. Yeah, it's mild illness, but it's crap. It's terrible. It's uncomfortable. It's miserable. Rotavirus leads to more than 2,000 emergency room visits, 70,000 hospitalizations, and 20 to 60 deaths a year. Yeah, it's not as big as coronavirus. And I'll tell you, we have a vaccine for rotavirus. Vaccines cause the illness they're supposed to prevent. Sometimes you do get a little bit of the thing. But for the rest of them, no. That doesn't actually happen. It's very rare that it actually happens. Preservative used in vaccines causes autism. Get the F out of here with that one. That is the most ableist argument on the planet. Because what people say when they say that is that they would rather have a non-vaccinated kid who might get one of these other crazier, crappier diseases, which could potentially lead to the death of that child, than have them have autism. Like autism is some sort of societal death sentence or something like that. F off with that BS. Terrible. If you do take a vaccine that has a preservative in it, it's to make sure that like nothing else grows in it. Because guess what? As sterile as we try to make things, bacteria and fungi do find a way. They do find a way. So, I mean, it's hard to get rid of those things. And so that's what the preservatives are for. So if a bacteria culture starts to generate in the vial, in the, you know, whatever, the preservative is like, nope. Now, this particular thing, thimerosal, people misunderstand as, oh my god, you have mercury in them. You're giving people mercury. Mercury is toxic. Mercury is toxic if it's given in its elemental form, which is liquid at room temperature. Yeah, if you inject mercury into your body, guess what? You are probably going to die. But thimerosal is not elemental mercury. It's ethyl mercury. And when you change something on a molecular and elemental level, it changes its properties. Because you know about the Hindenburg, right? It was filled with hydrogen and it went buoy buoy and it exploded and all of that stuff. But then water also has 2 of them for every oxygen? Oh my God, H2O, it's going to make us blow up. No. When it combines with oxygen, it creates water. Hydrogen, I mean. Right? Oxygen by itself could let a fire go for as long as there is oxygen. Because the fire's like, oh yeah, give me that oxygen. Woo! It doesn't mean that we're constantly breathing in a fire hazard. I mean, so ethyl mercury as thimerosal is safe in vaccines, although due to this anti-mercury campaign has been somewhat effective because thimerosal is being removed as much as possible from vaccines. As new vaccines are being developed for various diseases that we have attempted to eradicate or have eradicated, thimerosal is being replaced with something that's not mercury based, we'll say, because it's no longer an issue. And so if people are still talking about it as a reason to not get vaccinated, oh, there's thimerosal in it, there's mercury, you're injecting a heavy metal into you, and that's going to kill you because it's toxic. You can be like, first of all, there's absolutely no metals that exist by themselves in either of these two vaccines, Moderna and Pfizer. And the vaccines that you've probably gotten as a kid probably don't have thimerosal in them, and the ones that you'll give your kids will definitely not have it in there. So it's stupid. It's stupid. See, thimerosal is no longer used as a preservative in any child vaccine except the influenza vaccine. Okay. The small amount of mercury contained in the influenza vaccine is much lower than the amount of a breastfed infant receives naturally. Boom! But tell that to somebody and they're like, what are you talking about? Breastfed babies don't get mercury because blah, 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 blah. You can get mercury from eating fish. You get more mercury from fish eating than you do getting an injection of a vaccine. The MMR vaccine causes autism. Get the F out of here with that one, too. Falsified data, fraudulent study. Andrew Wakefield could get the F out of here. GTFO. God, this Lancet article. Oh, man. I think this Lancet article and the malicious intent that Andrew Wakefield had set mental health and physical and public health conversations back decades. Because we're still talking about it. People are still talking about it. You have Jenny McCarthy, whose son has autism, writing books about how her son was vaccinated and she didn't even realize that he then, developed symptoms of autism and stuff like that. And it's just like, y'all need to have more compassion for people that aren't neurotypically expressive, neurotypically social. Have some more compassion instead of trying to blame the MMR vaccine. Also, I have a psych myth in there about how autism is like seeing a gigantic uptick, and it's just like, nah, it's probably because we failed to diagnose people with autism before the 1990s. And now that we have a better understanding of the disorder of the functioning of spectrum disorder folks, we have a better understanding of how to diagnose them, thus more diagnoses of people who fall on the spectrum. The best place to get the injection is always in the buttocks. I don't know about you, but I like sitting on my butt. And I wouldn't want anything injected in my butt because that would prevent me from being able to sit on it. That's just me. So if you're a kid, you get it in your thigh because it's this biggest muscle. It's the meatiest muscle. I mean, it is technically the meatiest muscle on any person. But as an adult, we get it in our forearm, or sorry, not our forearms, our deltoids, our shoulder here. So because that's very strong, meaty muscle, and it's easy to get to. You don't have to take down your pants. You just have to during the wintertime, you just have to take all of your kit off and like end up with a bare shoulder. Last one. Vaccines are not tested enough. BS. Hidden cry. Alright, so that's that one. Questions in chat? Anybody? I feel like I'm talking to myself again. Like I was last stream on Wednesday night. Pretzel Rocks really likes, and Pretzel Rocks and Nightbot really like to say stuff. All right. Close that one. Close that one. So there's a butt ton of research out there. There's a butt ton of research about how to approach people like these folks. I don't want babies to be genetically modified with vaccines. How will they harvest pure adrenochrome? This is why they want kids up to 16 to be spared from C vaccinations. What? I don't get it. Hi, everyone. This is not vaccine related, but I was hoping to get some input advice. I'm 110% against COVID tests. I refuse and think they're BS. And that being said, my 3-year-old son, who I'm home all day every day, is suspected of having hearing loss. He's speech delayed, failed his hearing test on Monday, and was told next step is sedated ABR, auditory brainstem response test. I called to schedule the test, and they told him that they wouldn't do the procedure unless he had a COVID test. I'm furious. He's 3 years old and not exposed to anyone. I'm a stay-at-home mom, and my husband isn't around anyone when at work. He works by himself outside. What am I supposed to do? I'm against COVID testing with every fiber of my being, but they refuse to do the procedure without one. But if he needs this procedure to diagnose hearing loss, do I have another choice? How can you hold back medical care for a BS unreliable test? I feel like I'm going to be sick. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I don't. How do you talk to people like that? How do you explain? I would suggest finding another doctor. Now that's a common refrain from commenters to posts in these anti-vax forums. It's a common refrain. Find another doctor. Find somebody who's willing to do it. Who's willing to sidestep whatever problem that you have. I don't know. So how do you talk to... one more. I'm anti-vax for nay. My stepdad, 88, is all for vaccines. Always has his flu jab. Still going strong. I wonder if there are some people where a vax... where a vax does not cause any problems at all to their system. He's in really good shape. In summer, always doing his garden. Forever sunbathing. He wants this COVID vaccine, he believes, because things are advanced, we can jump years of testing. Does my head in. Some mad cognitive dissonance going on there. Hey, my dad is really, really healthy, and he keeps getting vaccines all the time, but I have no idea how that happens. How does he do it? Rip to my friend. Oh, this is the... Haha, yeah, that's the other one. There will be the here you go, she's absolutely fine placebo-style vaccine. When everyone can see they're not dropping like flies, they'll believe it's okay to have it. That's some mental gymnastics right there. I don't care if Jesus Christ himself comes down from heaven and gets the vaccine on live TV. I'm still not getting it. I bet my salvation on the fact Jesus wouldn't take the vaccine. He'd be flipping some flipping tables over right about now. What the? This is... That's wild. That's the first time I've seen that one, and that is wild. Wow. Wow. Goodness gracious. So we'll look at more of these in just a second, but I wanted to. So there's a lot of studies. I just typed in anti-vaccine beliefs into Google Scholar, and you just get pages and pages and pages of this. And I'm not going to show any studies that are behind any paywalls, but I will show this one because it is HTML available on the actual site. But I did want to show this one because this one's interesting, and it's about 5 years old. And so this is pre-COVID stuff, and I think that's useful to talk about, pre-COVID stuff. Does correcting myths about the flu vaccine work? Because there are similar myths, specifically with the COVID vaccine, right? So here's the abstract, and you can look this. I'll link this in here, and if you can grab it, you can do so. Experimental evaluation of the effects of corrective information. Seasonal influenza is responsible for... All right. So, the CDC, the Centers for Disease... The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention put out FAQs for all sorts of shots and drugs that you get at the doctor's office in a controlled environment, including for the flu shot. Every year you get one, and it's just like, great, let's find some place to recycle this. Awesome. So one possible obstacle to greater immunization rates. Is it working now? No, it's not. Cool. There we go. One possible obstacle to... Oh, I can't click on it. That's so weird. All right, whatever. We find that substantial portion of the public, 43%, that's a big number, even in 2015. I'm sure it's around the same, maybe even higher. I don't know. Hopefully lower 5 year later. The flu vaccine will give you the flu. It does not. It does not. It's an inactivated influenza strain from last year. Okay? So it's the mutation from last year. So, no. No. So, do you take this myth, and you tell people, okay, well, that's not true, okay? However, correction also, so, give people the facts, is what they're saying. They, by showing people, reduce the belief in the myth that the flu vaccine can give you the flu, as well as concerns about its safety. However, the correction also significantly reduced intent to vaccinate. So, while I will not call this the backfire effect, certainly telling somebody about the outcome of the virus, of the vaccine, changes the mental calculus of the person who's like, oh, okay. Among respondents with high levels of concern about side effects. Okay, so the myth is, or the belief is, that the flu vaccine will give me the flu. That's a tragic side effect. That's a negative side effect. We don't want that. So, okay, it doesn't give me the flu, but I still have qualms about side effects. So I don't think I'll get it still. Not the case for people who have low levels of concern about side effects. So these authors are like, what am I doing? What are we doing? What are we doing? They say misperceptions about the MMR vaccine and now the flu vaccine that suggest that correcting myths about vaccines may not be an effective approach to promoting immunization. So, as I've done for the last hour and 45 minutes on this stream, is promote the facts about vaccines, and yet, according to these folks, that's not going to work. You shouldn't do that. Okay. Parents' beliefs in misinformation about vaccines are strengthened by pro-vaccine campaigns. Oh, Jesus. No! So this is what the anti-vax literature looks like. This is what beliefs in anti-vax, the literature on beliefs in anti-vax myths or misconceptions or misinformation. This is what the research looks like. And so I've only chosen 2. But it's like, it's a lot. It's a lot of the research. Just going up to people and being like, yo, here's some facts. People don't want to hear them. And if they do allow you to tell them, it won't change the way that they feel about getting the vaccine. They still won't get it. You saw that person say if Jesus came and got the vaccine on live television, they wouldn't get it. Oh my God, that's Jesus we're talking about. First of all, if he came down and sat on live television, guess what? And you're watching, guess what? The rapture already happened. So you done screwed anyways. Because the second coming of Christ, according to the book of Revelation, is that if you see him, you done goofed. Hey, Snot Garden, welcome in. Yeah, I hate to say it, but they're right. Presenting skeptical folks with facts is more often counterproductive. It's usually better to let people talk themselves into a contradiction and letting them realize it. Takes way too much patience for me. Yeah, that ain't gonna happen for me. Oh my gosh, I can't. And I'm so happy my immediate family, my immediate family, but like my parents, my sisters, they're all 100% behind the COVID vaccine. My older sister is a teacher. She teaches middle school. She gets it next month. And I am so happy for her. And I was like, my mom was like, how do you feel about it when she told us? And I was like, oh, Mom, please don't fail me. And my sister was like, I feel good. I feel great about it. And we were all like, yay. And my mom was like, good, I'm glad. That's great. Free? Well, it is free, I guess. But yeah. So how do we do this? How do we do this? Do we just keep banging our heads against the wall and hoping? And yeah, I do fully agree with you, Snot Garden, about how also enjoy your free gifted sub. You got gifted a sub last week, or not last week, 2 weeks ago. Do we just keep banging our heads against the wall, hoping that somebody... I think it worked for me. I was messaged by somebody who asked me if I wanted to take the vaccine, and I said yes. And then they asked, but then they mentioned the thing about the infertility and pregnancy issues, and I had explained earlier, and I completely shot. I went straight to the source, grabbed a New York Times article. It says this is this is a myth. Here you go. And this person got it yesterday. And I thought, that's go me. But of course, this person was already open to my opinion, my specific opinion as a woo fighter, as a pseudoscience basher, you know? So, I mean, I called that a win. But so I didn't need to bang my head up against the wall. But I do know some people that I probably would if I wanted to put that much effort into it. And I certainly do not want to put that much effort into it, honestly. So, Snot Garden, one approach is actually not to ask people for permission, just presume everybody wants it. Yeah, at the beginning of the stream, I was like, you know what? Even if I were to be arrested for running around with a syringe full of vaccine, I would just like run up to people and be like, have you been vaccinated? No? Stab! And then run away. And then run up to the next person after I refill it. Have you been vaccinated? Stab! A stab with the syringe, not a knife. I don't envy the primary care providers who have to deal with this shit. Oh my gosh. Yes. The only people who are apparently allowed to be called doctors. Just kidding. I mean, I'm not 100% sure I would take a COVID vaccine right now when I can wait until there's more information about the longevity of the immune response and side effects profiles of the different products. Yeah, so I've been, I'd take it right now. I'm bummed that there was no, I had no idea, phase 3 trials where I would have been like, I want to be a part of your phase 3 trial. Watch, I would have gotten the placebo. I would have been randomly assigned to the placebo group. Yeah, it is thin. Hey, Thrixel, have a good stream. Kill those baddies. I don't know what you plan on playing. No, you're not. You're not derailing me at all, Snotty. Just finishing up. I was talking about some research, and I was basically saying how it's really difficult to change people's minds about this stuff. But there's this one study that I found. 2017. They looked at Twitter between 2009 and 2015 about I've been talking for 2 hours. That's probably why. Autism-related anti-vax beliefs on Twitter. Highlights. I had to do this I had to do highlights for a study that I published in Elsevier. And it was really hard to come up with highlights, but I do like them. I do like that studies have these, specifically Elsevier journals. They don't. Oh man! Oh, you've done the highlights too. Yeah, it's like, wait, what do I want people to know? Oh, but I want them to read it. So 272,000, I'm just gonna contain anti-vax beliefs between 272,000 tweets. Whoo! That's a lot of tweeting. Anti-vaccine tweets in 5 states were higher than the national average. I wonder what states those were. I don't have access to this article, so I'm not gonna try to get access. I mean, I can get access, but I'm not going to do it right now because this is technically copyrighted material, so we'll just look at it from here. Anti-vaccine tweet volume increased with news coverage of vaccine-related events. Oh, I wonder how they're going now. Probably banging your head against the wall. Anti-vaccine tweets clustered geographically based on consensus. Oh my goodness. Census characteristics. My goodness. Monitoring social media is beneficial to curtail anti-vaccine beliefs. Well, yeah, of course. Okay, Yeah, Connecticut. So we've got Connecticut, with Boston, Massachusetts, obviously New York. That makes a lot of sense. And then Philly and Pittsburgh and Pennsylvania. We're talking higher population areas, but also rural areas can see this too. Rural areas can be the education one is actually anti-vax beliefs are not correlated with education level. I looked into that because I was asking anti-vax beliefs on a questionnaire a couple of years ago, and no. You would think that people who are more highly educated are less prone versus people who are not highly educated. Yeah. I think it used to be that way, but I think what we know about the last 4 years is that it really only takes gullible people. The last 4 years have really shown us that gullible people are the ones we have to look for, regardless of how educated they are. But yeah. Let's see. Demographics explains 67% of the variance. Okay. Larger population and higher concentrations of women who recently gave birth. That makes sense because they're like, households with high income levels. Yeah, but that doesn't necessarily mean education. Let's not conflate the two. Men aged 40 to 44 and men with minimal college education. Doesn't say anything about women with minimal college education, though. So that's interesting. So these actually contradict each other. High income levels and minimal college education, which is what the research says about education level not really being related to anti-vax beliefs. It's just it's too flighty. It's too noisy. That's the word I want. It's too noisy of a. I really think it has to do with being gullible, to be honest. Are you prone? Do you have the tendencies to believe misinformation? No, I think they're individual. Because they looked at the tweets and the people who run the accounts. So the demographics that they could get from the accounts that tweeted the anti-vax tweets in this particular one. So these are individualistic. These are individual characteristics in the aggregate. So they did a regression analysis. 67 an R squared of 0.67 is gigantic. Twitter can uncover vaccine blah 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 blah. Serve as an indicator of shifts in public opinion. Equip pediatricians who refute anti-vax arguments. Yes. Well, it doesn't really matter because you can tell everyone about how their anti-vax beliefs are dumb until the cows come home, until you're red in the face, and they'll be like, yeah, well, but what about this? And then they'll just be a but what about this? But what about this? And then the pediatrician's like, and no, and then stop. Oh, okay. We're gonna end the stream with here's the Jesus Christ thing that I was talking about. I don't care if Jesus Christ himself came down from heaven, and I'm still not getting it. Okay, well, great. Yep. After all, You caused a flood on the earth because the bloodline of mankind had been so polluted. That's a story. If a Jesus was promoting it at all, I would for sure know that he would be the Antichrist. Oh boy. Oh boy. Okay, last one. All right, this was December 6th. Okay, so this is recent. My husband is military and will be forced to take the vaccine. Does anyone have a detox protocol yet for the COVID vaccine? Oh. I don't know, Snot Garden, do you have a detox protocol set up for getting rid of that mRNA? In your opinion, why do people who are vaccine hesitant tend to get pushed towards an anti-vax position? I think because the anti-vaxxers are so welcoming. They're like, yeah, come over to our side. Let me tell you about these other things. And then you're like, wait, I never knew it was so bad. And you end up getting caught in an endless loop of group polarization, groupthink, and so your views end up getting more and more and more extreme, and then you end up getting pulled in. That's how it works. That's how it works for everything, really. How it works for everything. Sports teams. Which burger is the best? So innocuous things like that, right? That's how it works. Group polarization and groupthink. And then, it's just a sad day for everyone. Obacalp. Ah! It's placebo backwards. Do it. Oh my god, you'd make so much money. And then people will defend you when it doesn't, like, people get COVID and they're like, wait, I got COVID, and it's like, you didn't do it properly. And then people who don't get COVID who took Obacalp are like, yeah, don't blame the Obacalp guy. He's just trying to make an honest dollar. So what do we got here? Forced to take a detox. I don't think you can detox because of it being inserted, and changing your mRNA is at a different type of vaccine. My doctor friend, anti-forced vax, tells me it is not something you can detox from. You can't detox a RNA vaccine. I believe you are right. You can't take that mRNA out of a person once it has been injected in. Pretty disturbing. No, I got what you meant. I got what you meant, Snot Garden. It's funny how I actually inserted the vaccine detox in, because that's what this post is talking about. So, no, it's all good. You're all good. They're not wrong. I mean, right. There's nothing you can do to take the mRNA out. There's always a kernel of truth in that kind of stuff, though, right? So it's always just the little thing that they latch onto, and they're like, yeah. Anyways. Anywho's, I'm gonna jump into this view. Oh my gosh, the stinger transition, bad. All right. Well, I think I might end the stream there. So get your vaccines, wear your masks. This is the way. Food has a ton of mRNA in it. There's GMOs. All right. Well, thanks everyone for coming by and hanging out, asking questions, talking about vaccines and such. I hope you learned something. Make sure you get that vaccine. If you need some help, I can take you and push you in front of a syringe. Should be good. All right, everybody, have a good Sunday and enjoy your Christmas week.